Today, NBC senior business correspondent Stephanie Ruhle joins us with more on that. Stephanie, let's just start right there. And for those of us who are not as educated on the financial system as you are, when the Federal Reserve cuts rates like that, what is it trying to do? And is there any evidence that it will work in this situation?
All right, well, let's go big picture to small. It wasn't just our Federal Reserve. It was central banks around the world cutting rates. That means they are making it cheaper for big business, small business, and individuals to borrow money, making it easier for banks to lend money. What that tells all of us is that the economic impact of the coronavirus is going to be crippling. You were just talking about it there. When you see cancellations, shutting down, and isolation, if you have any sort of consumer-facing business, it costs the same to run your business, but your revenues are about to go to zero. So now that the Fed is making it much cheaper to borrow money, hopefully those businesses can stay afloat and not have to lay off workers.
So the idea is just borrow a bunch of money. It's not going to cost you to borrow that money, kind of like a Band-Aid to tide you over for these businesses?
That's absolutely the case. Now, in normal times, when the Federal Reserve cuts rates, the idea is let's make it cheaper to borrow so people can go out and buy a house, refinance their mortgage, maybe build something. That's not what's happening here. This is an emergency rate cut really designed to help people stay afloat.
Okay, and real quickly, now I remember during the financial crisis, there were measures taken with complicated names but basically it meant to keep the financial system afloat, to keep the banks have credit, to have cash, to be able to keep almost like the arteries and blood vessels of the financial system going. Is there any need to do that? Are there any actions being taken to that end?
Okay, so I think what you're talking about are bailouts and rescue packages. Now, what we just saw from the Fed is monetary policy to help with lending, to keep things afloat and to make it easier for banks. As far as bailouts for certain industries, we could see them. You just heard Miguel talking about travel, leisure, airlines. Those industries are suffering, and they could seek government support. But I just want to share what's really important for individuals out there who are saying, I just got my shifts cut. I'm a personal trainer, and my gym is going to be shut for the next 8 weeks. Who's helping me? Well, I want you to go to your individual state website, and then you can look up unemployment, because state by state, we're seeing unemployment benefits change. Ohio yesterday just changed, so companies that are temporary, industries that are temporarily shut, people that are quarantined, can apply for unemployment benefits. Now, these things are changing daily, so I urge people, if you run a small business, go to SBA.gov, that's the Small Business Association, or check out unemployment benefits. In a time like this, we're seeing changes made to help individuals.
Okay. I want you to stay on top of that one for sure, Stephanie. We'll be back with you as we keep on top of those rules. Before we go further, a personal note for this. We'll send it over to you, Hoda.
All right, Savannah, thank you. Steph Ruhle is here to talk all things business, including the impact of the curfews, the reduced traffic, the stores. We got questions for you, Steph. We got Lauren on Facebook. She wants to know, and this is a good one, if our state goes on lockdown, that means, excuse me, we can't work. And what are we supposed to do for income? The most basic of questions.
This is so important because earlier today when we were talking about the rate cut, well, that's important for small or big businesses. They can borrow money. But what if you simply can't go to work, right? A rate cut doesn't put money in your tip jar. If you're a hairdresser, it doesn't bring money in. So here's what we're waiting for, Congress to take action. We talk about this fiscal stimulus plan. Congress decided on a plan on Friday. We're waiting. Now it's going to the Senate. But we're actually hearing more and more people talk about the idea of a national economic holiday. Now, it's not passed yet. Jason Furman, former economic advisor to the White House, said, what about writing a check to every single American right now? Because this is like a natural disaster.
Right.
If we're saying to people, go on lockdown, because that's the right thing to do medically, but you still owe all of your bills economically, well, that doesn't make sense.
Right.
So it's being addressed. There's just not a solution yet.
You almost want just to alleviate people's rent, their mortgage, their electric bill, so at least they don't have that stress on them. Let's move on to April on Instagram. She wants to know if we should be concerned about touching our mail or packages that come into our house.
I get that question a lot. Also, what about touching money?
Yeah.
Now, there's more we're learning about corona every day, but as far as transmitting it on surfaces, not really happening yet. Just a reminder, wash, wash, wash.
Well, you know what's funny? I was trying to update my cable because I don't have some thing, and they said, well, bring a guy to your house. And I said, first of all, I said, no, thanks. But they said, no, the guy's got gloves on. He's going to wear a suit. If people are coming in to do business in your home, plumbers or cable people, would you say no?
Just be safe.
Yeah.
Right now, you want to do essential things. I wouldn't necessarily be doing construction at my house,
Right.
you know, that was optional. But if you need a plumber, if you're locked in your house and you need a plumber, you need a plumber.
All right.
Yes.
Lyra on Instagram asks this. Grocery stores are running out of paper products, cleaning supplies, and food. How are we supposed to self-quarantine if we can't get the food that we need? We've got to go out, basically.
We've already heard from the CEO of Walmart, Doug McMillon. They've extended their store hours. Target is saying we are trying to get things on the shelves, and this is an opportunity. When you go to your local grocery store, please say thank you. Give a shout out to those people who are filling the shelves. And we're actually seeing some businesses change what they do. LVMH, the luxury brand that makes Louis Vuitton, Christian Dior, they are stopping making perfume, and they're now going to use their operations to make hand sanitizer and give it out for free.
Wow, and back to what you said about the people who are working at the grocery store. They had fewer lines where I was, and people are complaining, like, why don't you open more lines? I'm like, no, no, no. You just wait patiently. These people are here. They're handling your food. Here's another question.
They're putting themselves at risk. Be patient.
Big time. Lisa on Facebook wants to know, and maybe the most important question of all, as a small business owner, how will I survive?
I hear you, girl. It's really hard, and it's easy for us to say, make sure you're keeping your business open and make sure you're paying all your employees. That's easy if you're a massive CEO. We learned this weekend that Nike and Apple are closing their stores. Well, those are often anchor stores at a shopping mall. They can afford to do it. But what about the trickle down? So for small business owners, they're waiting for that fiscal package. We know that the Small Business Association is offering loans. Rates are lower. And on a big level, we've seen some positive things, right? NBA stars have now Steph Curry has done it. Kevin Love has done it. They're sharing some of their salaries with hourly workers, but you got to keep thinking about ancillary businesses, not just those hourly workers. What about the bars and restaurants that are near those stadiums? The government's got to start to figure it out.
Congress has got to get this thing passed and quick. All right, Savannah, over to you.
All right, and joining us now by
your business correspondent, Stephanie Ruhle. Stephanie, what should people know about this stunning drop?
Lester, as the economic impact of the efforts to combat coronavirus sink in, today we saw the single biggest point drop in the Dow ever. Out of the gate this morning, markets tanked. Then late in the afternoon, when President Trump's press conference went on, the selling accelerated, effectively eliminating almost all of the gains made in the Dow since he took office. Now, usually when the Fed cuts rates, markets go up. But that is not why they cut rates. The rate cut now is about making sure the system keeps working, that businesses, large and small, are able to borrow money. The rate cuts will help many businesses stay afloat, but what they won't do is put more money in the tip jar for a whole lot of individual workers. Lester?
All right, Stephanie Ruhle, thank you.